I'm sick of it. 5 days and get your package. Anything less, you die.
Hello, Past Damien. Today is the 22nd of May 2022. Today, Feature and I went to location scout along the west side of the country for the upcoming not-so-secret, hopefully will come out soon, project that we are trying to work on.
Oh, into the close-up, bro.
Bravo 6 moving.
We went to go and scout a small variety of car park rooftops.
Did I tell you about that 999 call we got about this guy?
As well as stop by for a bit of Starbucks. Following that, we tried to visualize a little bit of the choreography that we might want to try out with the limitations of one person in front of the camera and one person behind the camera. And then both of us went home and Future found out that he tested positive for COVID. So, but alas, I tested positive less than 180 days ago, so I'm not too concerned. I'll monitor my own health and see what happens, but I am about 80% confident I will be fine. To answer some of the things that you said in your video, well, first of all, the acne situation is still up and down. A few weeks ago, or even like last week, it was fine, and then this week suddenly something broke loose, but it's a constant battle. We were fine until the end of secondary school, until we joined Polytechnic, where there was a max in the middle of campus with discounted prices, so definitely something went wrong there. The COVID restrictions in Singapore I mentioned about in last week's video, where things have gotten infinitely better than they were 1 year ago. Like, wow, sucks to be you, Past Damien, only being able to go up in buddy pair and not being able to eat out. So suck it. In terms of the HBL experience, I actually haven't asked around what uni is going to be like, especially those people from ADM. Perhaps if you are in ADM, you could leave a comment in the video and let me know, like, yeah, what's going on in ADM, what's going on in NTU in general, how the lecture's like, how you're going to teach drawing class over Zoom. There's no way you're going to do that. And last but not least, one of the biggest points that you were talking about is the new/lost sense of self. And I'm here to tell you that much like one of the first videos that I've made as Future Damien, yes, that shit has only gotten worse, but at the same time, it genuinely is getting a little bit better after having ORD. And what I said in my first video still stands true in the fact that there has never been like a greater difference between 1 year of ourselves now than ever before. In our tour as PC, things of high importance and urgency happen with high frequencies that it's sort of messed up our sense of priorities like a lot. At least the way I feel that things have happened, our senses have been tuned, have been graded so much that if it's not something that needs to be resolved now, and if nothing really is going to happen if we don't resolve it right away, like that thing is going to go to the back of our minds for a long time, or it's barely even going to register at all. And at the rate that we have to attend from one thing to another thing, events and happenings just come in one way and go out the other way, almost in a constant flow. And by the time we're done handling said things, we either forgot a lot of the details of what actually happened, or we'd rather just not remember at all. And last but not least is the responsibility of having to lead people in what I've heard described before about the army in general as a place where you have to lead people to do things that they don't want to do. And maybe it's because I follow this quote too tightly, but it feels like that is a lot of what our experience is all about. And yes, you can go quite a long way in terms of treating people with compassion and understanding and patience and empathy. But once you reach a certain point, there just isn't enough time or energy or space to deal with every single person who's under you. So you have to learn how to just say, you gotta do it. And you and I both know that's something that's not easy for our character to do. Our character used to be, and I guess still is or still wants to be, defined by logic, by reason, having the understanding of why we do things and making sure that other people understand why we do things. And if they don't agree, then we need to understand why. But one of the things that I realized about myself is that we actually are kind of person who would rather play with the hand that we're dealt instead of trying to change our entire hand to begin with. You could call it an underdog thing, or you could call it just not being brave enough to speak up for ourselves. But that's kind of the person that we actually are, and I think it reflects a lot in the way that we behaved in BMT. But when it comes to other people, we sort of don't exactly expect the same from them, because constantly having to compromise and compensate for whatever shortcomings that we're dealt is exhausting. And sometimes the easier way really is to just say, can I just not do it this way? Or is there another way that it can be done? Which should be the entire point of being a commander in terms of being able to make those choices, but at the end of the day, that's actually still one of our greater shortcomings. But then again, what I said about myself isn't 100% true, because it's tough to judge what kind of person you are by yourself. And we're all multifaceted human beings with multiple contradictions and hypocrisies, and you kind of get the idea. I could go on and trying to explain the experiences that I have, but I think that is quite a lot for today. Past Damien, relish the moment that you're in right now, because what you've said is true. It truly is one of the best periods to be in right now, in between cadet and commissioning. And please, 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 in a year's time, go and see everything everywhere all at once as soon as you can, even though I know you most definitely will. And with that, I will see you next week. Past Damien. Yo, I've been recording for a total of 26 minutes, which is actually longer than the previous video, and that is insane. I think this video is going to be shorter than the previous one. I hope it is. It's going to be painful to edit because I made a lot of pauses and stops and stuff that you are not going to see, I guess, because that's the way that editing works. Oh well. And it's time. Holy shit. 3, 2, 1, cut.